Our guest today for the Rotary E Club of the Greater San Fernando Valley is the Honorable CGHorinouchi, the Consul General of Japan in Los Angeles. Thank you for being with us today.
Oh, thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
We're very excited to learn about many aspects, cultural aspects, of what you do here at the consulate representing the government of Japan in Los Angeles. What are the functions of the consulate itself here in Los Angeles?
Well, the consul system or the consulate is a historical background, and originally it started in the 14th century in the Mediterranean. And then those days, what kind of foreigners are living in foreign countries? They are merchants, and then they lived in the port cities. And then to assist and protect those own nationals is the role of the consular and consul general. And that means that assist them is assisting their trade and their business, their commerce, and also protect them. Is the best way to protect is to have the friendly relations. And for the friendly relations, it's better to have the cultural exchange, youth exchange. So the role of the consul general really developed through the history to the commercial business and the youth exchange and people-to-people exchange and culture. But the core of the consul general's role is to protect and assist their own nationals. And it's the same here in Los Angeles.
So your role is to assist Japanese citizens, both those who live here and tourists coming to visit.
Yes.
And serve as a resource for them. What area does the consulate cover?
Well, here the Los Angeles Consulate General covers the Southern California and Arizona, only these two parts of the United States.
And of course, the main embassy for diplomatic relations is Washington, D.C., and there are many other consulates. Do you find in your personal duties that you are doing diplomatic and you are doing commerce related and you are doing cultural things and events? How does that break down for you? What do you find you're doing mostly?
The Los Angeles Consul General covers only these two parts, but the one very big characteristic, that is here we have the largest Japanese national population outside of Japan in the world. So it's bigger than New York, it's bigger than in Shanghai. And 97,000 people, just nationals, are living here in Southern California and Arizona. And their activities, so that means our activities, is very multifunctional, many dimensional.
So it's a very wide range.
Yes, quite exciting.
Well, other than having the largest population here, you are one of many consulates around the United States. You've been posted only at this one, but from what you have heard from the other offices, the other consuls, what are the differences in other parts of the United States?
Well, we have 14 consulate generals in the United States and also 3 consular offices. And for example, the origin of the consulate system, the major ports we have the consulate general like New York, Boston, Miami, San Francisco, and Seattle. But these days, the business activities are not only in the ports. So the Chicago, Detroit, and Nashville, we have the big automobile factories, and the areas, the district that we have the very close business relations, we put the consulate general. And another aspect of this area, the Los Angeles area, is that there is really big and very thick Japanese American community. So that's the special thing that you cannot see other part of the United States.
That we have just not only Japanese nationals, but many Japanese Americans.
Yes, exactly.
Our Rotary Club has had a long-standing relationship with the San Fernando Valley Japanese American Community Center.
Thank you very much.
We'll send you the video. We had a wonderful visit from 4 young professionals in what Rotary calls a group study exchange years ago, and they came and did a presentation for a local audience. So it's fun having a multicultural city in general.
Yeah.
Now, for you personally, what attracted you to the Foreign Service for Japan? How did you come to this field?
Well, my father was a doctor, and my brother became a doctor, and my father wanted me to study law. And nobody studied law in my family, and we didn't know, I didn't know what kind of job I'm going to take after studying law. And then in high school days, I really loved one novelist, fiction. That's a Japanese novelist, it's Hiroyuki Itsuki. And early works of him, of his, some portion that there is a story of the diplomat. And very famous one is that the retired jazz pianist playing in Moscow, USSR. And in that story, there's one small part, but very important part played by a Japanese diplomat working in Moscow. And I felt that, oh, it's a nice job to take. And I just, from that day, I tried to become a diplomat.
Okay, so your goal was to work outside of Japan, representing Japan.
Yeah, yes, that's true.
So that's interesting. I also studied law, and I had no information about going anywhere else. My job was going to be go be a lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
So you were very lucky.
Thank you very much.
I think I'm going to ask your father to adopt me, and I'll start over. What has been, obviously, Los Angeles is your best hosting ever, but what has been the most interesting assignment you have had, whether home in Japan? I know you've also been posted in China and in Washington, D.C. What would you consider the most interesting posting you had before this one?
Oh, before this one is, well, I only have two experiences. One is in Beijing, China, and one is in Washington, D.C., United States. And in China, I spent 3 times in total 10 years. And that's quite interesting and also very tough to be a Japanese diplomat in today's Beijing. So my previous posting, immediate previous post was there for 4 years. And, well, it's quite interesting and exciting and very tough.
Is it tough because almost in a way that would be the exact opposite of here? Because here, Japan and the United States have a close and positive relationship. Japan and China, United States and China, not as close and friendly. What were some of those challenges that you can discuss?
Well, superficially, it's really very not really friendly, but you know that 100,000 Japanese are living in China, and they are having the big industry or business there. And for example, China is the biggest trade partner for Japan, and so it's very important to keep the relations with China for Japan. And it is the same with their side. But a kind of the mood or the opinion of nationalism just erupts sometimes in China, and that will give us a really difficulty. And so to manage the relations, and that's quite a challenging job. And I exactly as you mentioned, that here in Los Angeles, it's not only the warm weather and warm climate, but the warm people and inviting, and then quite welcoming. That's really my first experience. And even in the Washington D.C., it's quite business-like. And then if you go to your counterpart in the State Department, it's not like in the Los Angeles. So the Los Angeles is the best assignment for me.
Good. I'm happy. I understand Washington. Anything that gets too close to Congress will be a problem. There's no question. So of all of the different aspects of the Los Angeles assignment, what have you, and you are not allowed to say the weather, but although I agree with you, but what is the most interesting or your favorite part of the Los Angeles experience specifically?
Oh, the first surprise was that so many activities by the communities. The community, I mean the Japanese nationals and also Japanese Americans and American, those communities have so many activities and so that's beyond my imagination. And before coming here, my wife and I didn't exactly understand what community means, but coming here, and immediately understood. Oh, this is a community, and very interesting and thankful for the Los Angeles.
So you have a chance to experience diversity just within the Japanese and Japanese American communities.
And for example, visiting last time I went to the Monterey Park, and they had the Cherry Blossoms Festival. And there, of course, there are many Chinese origin citizens, and also that they have the Japanese activities there, and quite diverse. And living peacefully and having the same festival. It's the same with Huntington Beach too. And of course here in Los Angeles, it's really a diverse city, and they're having their activities and festivals. And it's really nice to see.
I will make you a promise that we will find a way to invite you to some cultural event up in the San Fernando Valley.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm looking
we'll
forward
have to get you up to that community too at some point. So
yeah.
We'll make a note of that, and it's on video now, so we have to do it. So let's go back a little bit and get a broader view of circumstances. What do you consider are important issues right now with Japan and the United States?
Well, it's not an issue. For example, the beginning of this month, the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe visited here Los Angeles, and this time he started his visit to the United States from Boston, and Boston to Washington D.C. and San Francisco and Los Angeles, and it is quite historic for Los Angeles too, because the last Prime Minister we received here in Los Angeles was in 1999, the Prime Minister Obuchi. So this Prime Minister Abe's visit was for the first time in this century. And for us, it's very important to have him, because we have such a big Japanese nationals and Japanese Americans, and he appealed to those people, and he visited the Go for Broke Memorial too. And this time, this historic visit made a historic success, and success has two dimensions. One is the security ties with the United States, and we agreed upon the new defense guideline, and these are now in the Japanese Parliament now. And the second is the economy and business, and so if you say the word of issue, that means the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, and we are really working on this one, and to hope to reach the agreement, and hope that the U.S. Congress will pass the TPA as soon as possible. Then it will create a really huge free trade agreement throughout the Pacific area.
So it's interesting. How many, before 1999, how frequent were visits from the Prime Minister of Japan? Has this happened often, and this 16-year gap was unusual?
Well, not quite unusual, but because usually the Japanese Prime Minister visits New York and Washington D.C. only, and very rarely coming to the West Coast. And if he visits San Francisco and just skip Los Angeles, maybe going back to Hawaii or so that it's really rare to receive the Prime Minister here in this city.
Good. I hope Prime Minister Abe will speak well of us, and future Prime Ministers will want to come back and skip San Francisco. There's no need to go there.
And then the Prime Minister Abe was an alumni of the USC, and he studied in the USD in that campus for 2 years in 1977 and 78. So he had his own attachment to this city. Well, it was really nice.
I must say that we have a couple of members of our club who will cheer when they hear that he was affiliated with USC. Yeah. So I must say that without wanting to cause an international incident, I went to UCLA Law School, so I refuse to speak to Prime Minister Abe. I'm sorry. So, what is one back away from politics, away from governments? Let's go to culture. What is one very special cultural aspect of Japan that you would want us, assuming we know little about Japanese culture, what's one aspect of Japanese culture you would want us to know and celebrate?
Well, because the Southern California has so many Japanese Americans, and they have very many schools of tea ceremony and the flower arrangement. But one thing that I really miss now is that Japanese movies. For example, in the old days, many people saw the Japanese movies, Kurosawa and the Seven Samurais, or maybe Ozu, but how many Americans now understand or know the name of the Japanese director, film producer? And it's really we are losing the fans of Japanese movies these days. And I really want the American public to see that today's Japanese film, and there are very many good films too. And we are having the LA Eiga Fest, that's the Japanese Eiga Festival in Hollywood every autumn. So I really want many people to come and see today's Japanese film.
Thank you. That is interesting. I don't know that I expected that to be the direction. I know the name Kurosawa, but I don't know any of the films well enough. I know that people who love film here are very familiar with it, but others not as much. So we will need to look into that and get more information about the festival.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, please.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So we will ask you sometime soon for your top 10 list of best Japanese films we should all go see.
Oh yeah.
So we'll ask for that. Well, Consul General CGHorinouchi, thank you very, very much for your time and for teaching us about the consulate and interesting things that are helpful to us to know. We hope we can continue to remain connected with you, and we will invite you to the Valley.
Thank you very much.
Somehow. So for your time, arigatou gozaimasu.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I really love to be there, and I'm looking forward to participating in several activities in the Valley. Thank you very much.